I'm going to go over how you can achieve 100 plus cinematic moves with your Mavic 3 with a view of my controller. What's up everyone, it's Farhan from Drone Fate. Welcome to another video. Not too long ago, I made a video on how to get 100 plus moves, which helps you fly from beginner to pro with your Mini 2. And the same moves apply here. So I'm gonna go over it in 3 parts. Before I go over the 3 parts explaining how to achieve all these different moves, I want you to understand something. When you go out to film, you need to have a story first. So before you go and film, get a look of the area. Think of the shots you want to get in that area. This way you save a lot of time and battery and you know exactly what you're doing. So it's very important to think story first and then film after, instead of you just going to a location, taking off with your drone and then exploring different shots and what type of combinations you want to use to get those shots. Remember, story first. The Mavic 3 is capable of recording 10-bit color in D-Log. To make sure you're getting the most out of your drone, film in D-Log and learn to color grade. This will help take your footage to a whole new level because it allows you the immense flexibility of coloring your footage the way you want to and make it look the way you want it to look. Use it with a combination of ND filters to get the right shutter speed and you're good to go. Now, most of these moves are pretty easy to achieve, but there are some advanced ones which require a little more practice. So take some time off, go out with your drone and practice. I know that the Mavic 3 has a spotlight and point of interest modes, which allows you to get some interesting shots in a few taps, but it's always better to fly manual because you're not restricting yourself to what the drone can do, but it's always better to fly yourself manually to get more better looking shots. Getting those shots manually will actually make you feel so much better. Let's start with part 1, beginning with speed. You have the options of Cinesmooth, normal and sport mode. Something slow will appear more cinematic in Cinesmooth mode, while faster speeds in sport mode will add energy to your footage, and normal mode sits somewhere in the middle. If you want to increase the energy, you're gonna put it in sport mode to capture the shots with lots of movement. If you want to shoot something grand and epic, you want to shoot at a slow speed. In between these 3 speeds, you can gently push the sticks so you're not adding full force. Mostly, I put it in Cinesmooth mode and push the sticks half the way that they can go and get even slower shots. So you're going to have to practice these controls. Now let's talk about height. How high you fly is going to decide how your footage looks. You can tilt the gimbal up 20 degrees, which gives you more flexibility with how you can fly your drone. You can fly lower than your subject and point it up, be at eye level and above eye level, and go higher and point the gimbal down, and also be completely above your subject or scene. The height makes a difference in how your shot is gonna look. Next up is distance. How close or far away from your scene or subject you fly adds variety to your shots. The closer you are to your subject, your audience will be focused on that subject, whereas if you're far away and your subject is mini or tiny, the focus is the scene in the distance. Play around with this to add detailed or wide shots depending on what you want. Next is gimbal movement. You don't have to always have your gimbal pointed straight when you can point it up or down or even straight down. This is a major factor in adding variety to your shots by adjusting the gimbal and moving up or down or away or closer from your subject, which changes how the shot feels. These are 4 factors you want to think about when you go out filming, because just combining these will help you achieve 20 to 30 shots, as each one creates a different style of movement. Just a quick thing I wanted to mention: if you're finding any interest in this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, because it really helps out this video and this channel. Let's get into part 2, talking about different kinds of drone shots, but these aren't the only ones, but these are commonly used. The intro shot. This is a technique to introduce or establish a scene. This helps the audience see the bigger or wider view of your scene, which can be used to introduce where you're at in the scene. Drones are perfect in filming these shots as you can fly them high in the sky and far away to show everything in the distance. Reveal shot. This is where you fly to focus on one part of the scene of a subject and then reveal something different. For example, coming from behind and above the tree to reveal the highway and sunset. This is an awesome storytelling technique to build suspense or to reveal something new in your scene, which could be a transition. This idea to transition focuses from one subject or scene to another. Let's talk about some reveal shots. One is where the view is hidden and you fly in the direction to reveal what's hidden, and another one is to be close to the subject which is filling the frame and then pull out to reveal where the subject is, basically like the rocket quick shot. Another reveal is to have the subject come into your empty frame, and this one is classic, the tilt reveal, where you point the gimbal down and pitch it upwards to reveal the shot, which can also be done backwards, where you point the gimbal up to the sky and then tilt it down to reveal your scene or subject. Next up is tracking shots. This is where you have a subject in the frame and following the subject. You have to figure out the speed of the subject, as you can follow it fast and it's out of the frame, or you can move slower and follow while the subject moves out of the frame. You can decide the type of variation you want, where the subject is moving faster or if it's moving slower, and you fly past the subject. Fly through shots. This is where you fly through objects or past objects close. You have to be careful with these shots to avoid any accidents. Flying through or close to objects adds a different type of feeling than it would if you were to fly above it. If you're a beginner, I recommend you don't start with these type of shots before you have practiced enough to build confidence. Now we're in part 3 of the video, which is a collection of drone shots. I've compiled various types of drone shots and divided them into 3 parts. The first is the beginner, which requires only 1 move, and the more intermediate level, which requires 2 moves, and the advanced level, which requires 3 or 4 moves. You should practice 1 and 2 directional moves before you start getting into 3 and 4. Flying a drone is a skill, and you want to make sure that your movements are smooth and not jerky. I'm using the standard configuration for the controller, which comes straight out of the box, which is you push the right stick up to go forward, right to move right, left to move left, and down to move backward. And on the left stick, I push up to go higher, push down to get lower, and rotate right when I push it toward the right, and rotate left when I push it toward the left. So you want to keep this in mind in case you have a different configuration for your controller. Let's start with the beginner shots. The still shot. Fly into position and adjust the gimbal tilt angle and just leave it there to hover, capturing the scene or a subject moving through the scene. Pretty simple and easy. Reverse. Point the right stick down to fly backward. Make sure that there's a clear path behind so there's nothing in the way. Slide shot. Push right or left on the right stick and the drone will fly right or left. Again, make sure that the path is clear of objects. Push in. Push the right stick up to move forward and capture the scene. Ascending shot. Push the left stick up to raise the drone, and you can adjust the gimbal tilt accordingly, as I mentioned earlier, to change the style of the shot. Descending shot. Push the left stick down so the drone descends. It's a good idea to frame a good shot before you land, so you can get one more before landing. Rotation shot. Push the left stick left or right so the drone spins. Next up, 2 directional shots, where you'll push one stick and move in 2 directions or both sticks simultaneously. The forward backward slide. Pushing the sticks in a slant to the top right or left or bottom left or right corners, and the drone will move closer or farther and sideways. Ascend and forward. Push both sticks upwards at the same time and the drone will move high and forward. Ascend or descend plus rotation. Push the left stick up or down and to the side in a slant to go high or low and rotate. The ascend plus reverse. Push the left stick up and the right stick down so the drone moves up and backwards, kind of like a droney. It's a nice reveal for your scene where you focus on a subject and pull back to show the bigger picture. Ascend plus gimbal tilt. Push the right stick up and tilt the gimbal down. It's a nice change in perspective. Now you can do the same in reverse where you descend and tilt the gimbal up. Orbit. Classic drone shot and one of my favorites. You focus on a subject in the center and orbit around it. Push the joysticks in towards each other or away from each other. You can do it high and slow or low and fast. Play with the speeds and distance for different styles of orbits. Forward plus gimbal tilt. Push the right stick up and tilt the gimbal down. You focus on something you're flying over, and it's a cool shot to draw attention to something you're flying over. Now you can do the same when you fly in reverse and tilt the gimbal up. Now let's get into the advanced or pro section, which requires a combination of 3 or 4 movements to create your shot. The reverse plus slide rotation. Push the right stick to the bottom left or right and the right stick to the right. Add gimbal tilt for more motion. Forward plus slide rotation. Push the right stick to the top left or right and the left stick to the left. Add a gimbal tilt for more motion. Orbit plus gimbal tilt. Push the right and left sticks towards or away from each other and add a gimbal tilt to reveal your scene. Descend plus orbit. Push the left stick down to the left or right and the right stick to the left or right to orbit and descend. Ascend rotation plus forward slide. Push both the stick upwards toward the corners, and you can do the same in reverse and add a gimbal rotation. Forward descend plus gimbal tilt. Push the right stick up and the left stick down and tilt the gimbal up to change the horizon in your shot. Most of these drone shots in the advanced part will require practice as they're difficult to achieve, but you can get some awesome looking shots. From the beginning of this video to whatever I've talked to about now, you can use tons of combinations to use in your videos. The key is to plan your story and decide which moves will tell best your story before you fly. Using all these moves that I mentioned are definitely going to take your drone shots to a whole new level. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, make sure you practice to get those advanced shots and you'll be good to go. One more thing I want to mention is, remember, story first. It's always better to plan your shots in advance and then go film it. It'll save you a whole lot of time and battery. If you found any value in this video, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already for more weekly videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.